Pretty Nerdz. 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 Pretty Nerdz.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Pretty Nerdz podcast. This is your girl Falan DeAnn.
And this is your girl name.
Alrighty, how did you survive the Arctic blast that we had this past week?
Yeah, I mean it was kind of up and down for us over here. Like it was cold at the beginning of the week, and then like Christmas was like super cold, and then like right after that it was like unseasonably warm. I don't know. It's been crazy because like when I went out yesterday, it was like it wasn't terribly cold. Like I could go out and just regular like gym leggings and like a sweatshirt. But that I remember Christmas Day, it was fucking freezing. Like I had to like layer that day. What about yourself?
Yep, same here. Christmas was like freezing, and I think yesterday I got in a car. At one point, it was like 70 degrees. That I read on the little temperature thing. I was like, "This is ridiculous," but
Exactly.
I just wanted to be over with.
Absolutely. I cannot wait until spring come around and we just get back to the warm weather because you know I hate the cold more than anything.
Yeah.
So I guess we can go ahead and kind of get it started, obviously. As we are pretty much at the end of 2020, getting ready to go into 2021. This will probably, well, I'm not going to say probably, this will be our last show of this year. So we're going to do like a little year in review of kind of some of the bigger topics that came, that happened during 2020. But before we do that, there were a couple of, hot topics that did occur this past week that we want to kind of jump into. So I guess we can start with obviously probably the biggest topic was the Nashville bombings that happened on Christmas Day. Basically, a guy who's like a 68-year-old guy, he drove a RV and set it right on top of the AT&T hub and blew it up. And everybody from Tennessee to Kentucky to Missouri to Georgia pretty much was down. AT&T service, any type of AT&T services. It was like, basically, if you ever saw that movie, did you ever see the movie, the Die Hard movie, where it was focused on his daughter and the little tech guy?
Was that the latest one that came out?
Yeah, it was like the second to last one because I think the last one is focused on his son and they're like in a foreign Russian country or some shit like that. But like, yeah, it was like it's the last one I remember seeing because I didn't see the one with the son. But yeah, essentially. So yeah, basically, if you ever saw that movie, it was fairly similar to that, where essentially like they blew up like the communication hubs and all of us were like, what the fuck? I can't text, I can't talk, I can't email, I can't get online. Like it was absolutely hell.
That's why I was like, let me just check and make sure. And then I was like, well, she didn't text back. And then my mom she was like, your friend okay? I was like, I'm thinking she okay. I was like, maybe they having some phone issues. I was like, I'm not sure. And then when you text back, I was like, yeah, she fine.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't really, we didn't obviously feel it because we were further away. My brother actually lives in Nashville, a couple neighborhoods away. So he slept through it, but his wife, she said she was up at the time and she felt it, like the house shook a little bit. So, but yeah, luckily everybody was fine. Even in that explosion, nobody was there was only like 7, because it happened like super early. It was like super early in the morning. There was nobody out on the streets. So it was only like 6 or 7 people. I think they said 6 or 7 injuries. But aside from that, it was just the fact that, the whole hub was down. The only motivation they say that they can think of that the guy has that they believe is that he was paranoid over the whole 5G thing. Y'all know with them damn 5G conspiracies and shit running around here. Apparently he was one of those guys and he took it to the extreme. So, but yeah, super scary.
Yeah, definitely. I was like, okay. But I guess I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see what else comes after this. But it gives me Las Vegas shooter vibes. Like, we'll never know.
The exact reason. Yeah. Agreed. I don't think we'll ever, I'm with you. Like, there was no like notes. They said when they raided his house, they talked to his neighbors. His neighbor says he was just like a nerdy recluse who just kind of didn't talk. Nope. So they don't even know, like, but they do say that they feel like he acted alone. So if there's any good news that came out of that, there's that. But unfortunately, I feel like people are going to see that shit and we may unfortunately get some copycats.
Yeah. And I wonder, like, with AT&T, like, what's going to be their strategy? And even other phone companies, light companies, be like, I feel like, are y'all really protecting y'all infrastructure properly? Because, yeah, okay.
Because it was, it definitely make you think though, like, my biggest thing is how the fuck did he know that was the actual hub? Like he parked, like we saw it on the news, he literally parked exactly in the right spot. Like he wasn't off at all. Like he was literally right on top of the hub. So it's like, how the fuck did he, because by, living here, we didn't even know that the hub was in Nashville. I mean, obviously we knew there was an AT&T building in Nashville, but they don't even own that building anymore. They sold it. So
yeah, and we always call it the Batman building. And,
exactly. They don't even own it. They sold it to US Bank. So that's why we're like, so how the fuck did he even know that the hub was there? So the whole thing is just really weird.
Well, hopefully, which I doubt it, but like you said, it's definitely going to be some copycats. But I think somebody has already been like arrested for at least like a threat or something like that. I was like, y'all got to chill.
Basically. Absolutely. So, but I'm glad, because I'm glad people are okay and there was no casualties. So aside from him, he blew himself up in the bomb. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Outside of that, we have, if you saw over the internet for like the last couple of days, I want to say for this whole little weekend, Iggy Azalea, she was on one and decided to air out her baby daddy because she was upset about him not spending time. I get, because he basically released an album and he had an album release party, and I guess he had his side girl there, and he also canceled like a family trip that they were supposed to take. So I guess she finally just got fed up and decided to air his ass out about not being there and spending time with his baby.
Yeah. It was weird, to say the least. I'm like, y'all gotta have better ways of doing this. But then I also think about when you hurting and you need an outlet. It's like we just we're normal people and we do it on the internet, with our friends or whatever. So they do the same thing. They're still normal people. They're just celebrities. Well, they have a big following. They're still normal people. But I don't know, I'm like, this person, it seems like he has shown you who he is over and over and over and over again. Baby girl, just let it go. Anytime somebody missed the birth of their child, not yours, their child, to go play a video game with another person, yeah, that's it for me.
Basically. Absolutely. I mean, he was cheating on you while you were pregnant. I mean, all them different things, that should have been enough for you. But I'm with you though. I do not judge her for, airing his ass out. Like you said, we all every day in our normal lives, I'm not going to say all of us do it, but a significant amount of people do get on the internet, and whether they drop names or they sub, throw little sub shots or whatever like that. A lot of us get on here, on somebody's social media and express our feelings that we having. So you can't blame her for being human and doing it as well.
Yeah. And that's why I was like, I don't know. And then when I looked at his picture, I'm like, girl, you can do better. Just move on. Oof.
Yeah. Like we were saying about with the whole little baby and his girlfriend Jada, girl, you're a pretty girl. You can get you another one.
Yep.
Okay. Hell, I just seen on the internet just a second ago that some boxer dude is out here already shooting his shot at Iggy. So
you just gotta be ready to move on. And you ain't even really gotta be ready to move on. You can just not want it like, girl, bye. Cause you already in that circle. That's what I don't be understanding. And they date the same circle. So I'm like, you got opportunities.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I'm like, y'all gotta be understanding too, like, put it out there, because I think, who was that? Not Erica Mena, the other chick. I can't think of her name. But she like basically dragged black women, was like, oh, black men not gonna do this to me because I'm this. Oh shit.
Sin.
Yeah. And be like, yeah, you got this same treatment. So there's that.
Yeah, exactly. So it is what it is, man. And we also have one more topic, is JD and his comments. There's been a couple of shootings that have occurred at Atlanta malls or whatnot. So JD decided to get online and post his opinions about Atlanta and all of that. What are your thoughts?
It was trash. And it just shows you basically, no matter how much you want to think these celebrities are down for the cause, they are so fucking out of touch. And it's not, to me, his statement was just horrible and disgusting, because I'm like, we have seen over and over and over again what over policing looks like. It's not hard to see we still see it every day what over policing looks like. Police is already aggressive. What more the fuck do you want them to do? They pull up on the scene, shooting people within seconds. Like, what more do you want? Like, it's not, I don't know. I was just like, we need effective policing. And I'm like, until you start with education, viable job opportunities, healthcare, all of that, what you talking about is bullshit.
Right.
So it was just like, so you just gonna show that you that fucking out of touch and you are okay with police profiling until you are profiled, and then you're gonna be calling on your fan base and people around to be like, oh, I was profiled. No, this is what you called for.
Big facts. Big facts. And it's just the lack of accountability for me. Like, I feel like we can't deny the part that we've played in it as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't deny the part that we've played in the violence in our own communities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And kind of the culture that we have created around the violence in our communities, whether it be the whole stop snitching thing. I mean, we literally glorify street culture. You know what I mean? We run to it. We glorify it. Everybody talks about their favorite movies being, Scarface and The Godfather and things like that. So we glorify like street culture and mob mentality, gangster mentality, and all this shit like that. And we kind of encompass ourselves in it. And then when we see all of this violence amongst our community and in our culture, a lot of times we don't want to take accountability for it. There has to be some accountability for the part that we play in it.
Definitely. And I think that comes down to, I think a lot of, just not him, but like a lot of rappers in itself, like, don't want to take accountability to say like, hey, I fostered this, or I helped, keep this going. because you have to admit, like you said, that it's no matter how much music influenced it. And I even was listening to the Breakfast Club, and they was talking about Jay-Z, and he was the one who influenced this whole violent rap culture and all this. And they was like, it was, they thought that the movie Scarface did more than anything. And I was like, when you look at it, I'm like, you had like people doing album covers with cocaine. It's just ridiculousness, like, yeah. And I'm like, Jermaine Dupri, you made quite a couple of dollars off of that same madness. So
Yeah, exactly. So you know what I mean? Like, I think that that's our number one issue is we don't need over policing. That's not an issue. We need to have some accountability.
Yeah.
Honestly, we do. We need to have some accountability and go back to educating ourselves and educating our children, showing them other aspects of life other than just, street culture and all that. I mean, people joked about it when Pharrell did his interview on Drink Champs, where he talked about don't do no shit around me because I'm snitching. Like he let it be. He said what a sane person would say. Like, I'm not doing no bid for none of y'all motherfuckers. So don't do no shit around me because I am telling. And in all honesty, that's really most people's mentality, whether they want to be in these streets playing gangster a la Tekashi 6ix9ine or not. You know what I mean? Like, that's really a lot of their mentality when the shit hits the fan and they get in front of them police officers and they sitting in that little room and they hear the type of time they facing. Oh, they singing on everybody. So what, you know what I mean? So what are we glorifying?
When them feds come in with it, the RICO charges, it started getting real. And that's like, and then even like you bringing up 6ix9ine, it makes me just think like this person has made so much money off like peeling that bullshit. Not even black. This shit just boils my fucking blood when I think about it. But yeah, I don't know. Like I definitely agree. Like accountability, and I think we have to also get it because I'm over this like glorifying the older. Well, in the older days, they didn't do this or they didn't do that. Bro, it was as much violence in the 90s, probably if not more, just being honest, especially in places like Chicago and New York, as it is now.
Agreed.
I'm like, I mean, y'all trying to blame it on that it's a millennial problem or the generation after the millennials. No, this has been an issue. Now it's just fucking exploding.
And not only that, now we just see it more. Now there's cameras.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest. Police brutality has been going on. It's just now getting filmed more. The violence that has been going on, like you said, in New York and Chicago's and all different type of, I hate to say urban cities, but at this moment, I can't think of a different term, but you know what I'm saying, has been going on for years. It's just now being filmed. Everybody has a smartphone now. So, everything is being recorded. Everybody has access to social media. So now all that type of shit is just being recorded and put it out into the world. So that's all it is. You know what I mean? There's more technology now. So granted, we're going to be able to see more of the things that are happening, but it ain't changed none. You know what I mean? The street's always been the street. I would go as far as to say that our worst years were in the 80s when crack was big. Those was the worst fucking years for our community. And to be completely honest, I think a lot of our community is still reeling from that shit.
Yeah. And I mean, because when you think about it, I'm like, no matter what side you were on, it affected everybody, whether you had, the dealer or the taker, like it affected all sides. And even when it comes down to going to jail, both were criminalized, whether, if you had an addiction or if you were selling it.
Correct.
So I definitely think that, and that goes back to again where people put the blame on, Black women broke up the Black family, and we're like, no, you gotta remember that a lot of people went down in that crack era.
Hell yeah.
So a lot of y'all.
That, you know what I mean? Like, I'm with you. Like, I've heard people say that, whether they say Black men broke or Black women broke up. And to be completely honest, I've never said that. My opinion has always been crack was what broke up the Black family. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. Crack did that. And you know me in my conspiracy theories, even though I don't believe it's a conspiracy, I 100% believe that it's true, that the government is who introduced crack into our neighborhoods, and they knew what the fuck they were doing.
Yeah.
They knew exactly what the fuck they were doing when they introduced it into our neighborhoods. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was basically a way to get us all, whether it be dead or locked up, or the basically the situations and circumstances that we are in now. Like I said, our communities are still reeling from that era. And if you look at it now, it's funny that we're in this whole opiate crisis or whatever like that, because now white America is starting to see what the fuck we felt for all those years, you know what I mean? After having to deal with crack.
And it's so, just again speaking on that, it's like now they are going after what the drug company, I think they are like had to settle for in the billions. They're going after Walmart for filling prescriptions that were illegal. And I'm like, so again with the government, y'all have all these devices. You know what the fuck it is that you're supposed to do. But when it comes down to brown and Black people, it's like, as always with America, fuck them, let them figure it out.
Yep, exactly. That is exactly the truth.
Yeah, I'm over it. But his whole, just going back to like his whole rant, this shit like really pissed me off. It makes me think, like with the elite, because you do like Atlanta has a big population of Black wealthy people, which is nothing wrong with that, but it just makes me think like you sound like white people. You're more concerned with your comfort than you are anything else.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that, I hate to say this, but I feel like we time and time again kind of get shown the Black elite only look out for the Black elite, if we're just being honest. So that's why, I always preach and say, don't look to them. I mean, we talked about it big during the election time. Don't look to them to speak to our issues, because we are not the one and the same in that department. So it is what it is on that end. All right. So I feel like that's all we have for recent hot topic. You want to jump into the year in review?
Sure.
All right. So I guess some of the bigger stories that we had?
Yeah. I guess the first one without mentioning is definitely coronavirus.
Right.
Basically stop the world.
Yeah.
Which it's like something out of every time I think about it, I'm like, you always, when you look at these movies, be like, it's just so like unreal. This can't really just never, or like it can't really happen like this. And you see like it can really happen like this. Like you can't have one virus that affects the entire world. And not saying that we don't have other viruses, but I think for our generation, coronavirus is the only thing that I can think about that has affected the entire world the way it has. Because I'm like, shit, even Ebola didn't do that, like swine flu or whatever. And I'm pretty sure it has something to do with the inadequate president that we have in office. But yeah, like that was probably like one of the scariest things for this year.
Agreed. Corona, I think, has just changed everybody's lives, has really changed the world in all aspects, because I a lot of people, all they keep saying to them, is as soon as Corona's over, we can get back to normal. We can get back to normal. But I think that the reality of it is that once Corona is over, or once it, I don't think it's ever going to be over. I think that it's going to be reduced from pandemic level to what is it called? After it's a pandemic, it's a like
Is
an
it
epidemic.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I just think they're just going to, obviously with the vaccine and all that, have a reduction in kind of the levels and the deaths and things like that. You'll probably see people be able to recover it from it quicker, have less, like, I guess, side effects and things of that nature, carrying illnesses and things that carry on from it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I feel like that once it's kind of under control better, then, we're going to be facing a completely new normal, in my opinion. So I'm not really sure what people mean by we're going to get back to normal, So, I like, at the end of the day, I feel like, hey, we are going to have a new normal, Masks may be a part of our lives forever. Knowing about social distancing, if not just social distancing, may be a part of our lives forever. I mean, we may, if we do start to be able to get back to these big events and things of that nature, it still may not look the same, right? Because we're already hearing that employers are talking about they may require, like, make it mandatory for you to have to take it to, have the corona vaccine in order to be employed. That in itself is a huge change.
Yeah.
So, I've also heard that they are saying that, like, a lot of, like, recreational things, like even Ticketmaster and the bigger entertainment things that, like, sell tickets to events and things of that, are saying that may become a requirement as well, that you have to have the vaccine in order to purchase, before you can make the purchase and attend events and shit, like, you know what I mean? So I don't know how all that shit's gonna work. Now, granted, I will not pretend to be able to predict the future and know how they're going to be able to police all that shit and pull all that shit off. But again, it's all could be possibility.
Yeah, I definitely think we are gonna forever be wearing masks. And I know, like, well, my company, we moved to a new building, and they were like, some of us will not be going back to work. Actually, in the building, we'll be permanently at home, because the new building they purchased before COVID, and they said it's not social distance friendly. So they're at least projecting that we will always be social distancing. So that will be our new normal, which y'all need to bag back up off people anyway. But I don't know. Like, I don't have an issue with the mask, because I'm like, hopefully that would help even with fucking flu season and people just being fucking disgusting anyway, which we've seen that. I don't know. I don't get the whole anti-mask thing. I'm like, it's a mask. Like, you're not oppressed. It doesn't take anything away from you. It doesn't really hinder your life. It's a mask.
Agreed. I, for one, I'll volunteer and say that I probably, going forward, will at least continue to wear masks. In certain environments where I know that there's a lot of people. That's just the fucking paranoid person that I am. I don't give a fuck. I don't care how normal we get back to. I done seen some of y'all even during a pandemic. Like I said, after I was at the gym and I seen a girl literally just walking out the bathroom and still not wash her hands, and I said, bitch, in my mind I was like, bitch, we are in a pandemic. I said, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not finna fool with y'all. I'm not. So
And to think the only time I've ever had the flu, I literally got it from work. So I'm like, yeah, I'm
Yep.
not fucking.
Exactly. See, that's what people don't understand. I'm with you. The only time I ever had the flu, matter of fact, you are right, was from fucking work. That is the only time.
Listen, I was so pissed off because, and I knew who I got it from when I got it because I remember them saying, "Oh, the doctor said I could come back to work after 3 days." And when I went to my doctor, they was like, "You need to stay at home for 5 to 7 days. You'll start feeling better in 3 days, but you don't need to be around anybody." And I'm like, "This motherfucker came back to work."
Right? Ugh,
So,
disgusting.
yeah.
Disgusting. Also, moving on from COVID, I guess the other really big story was the presidential election. It started out with a shit ton of Democrats throwing their hat in the ring and just pretty much playing like whoever could beat Trump, I'm just gonna throw my hat in the ring and see if I can survive. It boiled down to obviously Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. Then we had to deal with that whole debacle on election day where Donald Trump refused to admit is still basically still running around with little Twitter fingers talking about election fraud and shit. So he's still, I guess, in denial that he is a loser and that he lost. But yeah, I mean, shit show that was our presidential election, basically.
Yeah. And we still in it. Yeah, that's the only thing I can say is that, and I think this is again for our generation, the longest election cycle we've been a part of, I guess, or paid attention to maybe. Like, I think this time we got to see the entire process because we're so used to, oh, election night, here's the projected winner. Where, I mean, it was like a couple of days, you had all of these outstanding states, and then you still like, oh, now the electoral college, only votes on December 20th or something like that, or 12th. I'm like, so you actually saw the whole process and paid attention to the whole process just to make sure, that fluke shit didn't happen. And I think we're still like in that roller coaster right now. I think we're probably just hanging up at the top to see if we're gonna be there or we're gonna go down come January 21st to see if he gonna actually lead the White House.
Yeah, basically, just a craziness. But I mean, out of the whole election, we did get the first a black woman as vice president. I mean, if there is anything to cheer about, it's another milestone, I guess, another first for Black Americans to have we obviously had the first Black man as president, first Black person in the White House. And now we have the first Black woman serving as vice president. So if we got anything out of it, I guess we can applaud that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other things that happened this year. Sad news, we lost Kobe, obviously. That was one of the saddest things. Obviously, for me, it was one of my sadder moments because Kobe Bryant was my GOAT. So we lost Kobe. We lost Nipsey Hussle. Just a sad year all around.
And just to add to the loss, definitely want to put Breonna Taylor in there. Did not get the justice that she deserved. Hopefully, I think they're supposed to be bringing in outside counsel, so we'll see.
Right. We definitely, I mean, speaking on Breonna Taylor, we again this year saw kind of the movement re-amplified with the killings of Ahmaud Arbery, then George Floyd, then Breonna Taylor. We really, really got to see police brutality in my opinion, just really, really on display this year. And we kind of saw re-amplification of the call from Black America to just have the police do what the fuck the police is supposed to do and stop, playing judge and executioner and, murdering black and brown people in the fucking street.
Definitely. I think it was, the summer was long and depressing, I would say that. With just everything that we saw. And just how I feel like how the government and white people be trying to play with our intelligence. Like, bro, we know why you chased down Ahmaud. Like, we know why you killed George. We know why, you killed Breonna Taylor. Don't play with our intelligence. You do better staying silent just than to put out bullshit.
Right. Absolutely. We also had, coming from that in the movement, the protests, we have the defund the police call. That's another movement that has really been being pushed. It's really been kind of out there. Unfortunately, obviously, there's a lot of misinformation surrounding the defund the police campaign. Obviously, a lot of people didn't do their vocabulary lessons and don't know that there is a difference between defund and abolish. But it is what it is. Obviously, for us smarter folks, I will say, or us who are just, I guess, have more common sense, we recognize that no one is calling for the abolishment of the police, even though, let's be honest,
a bad idea.
It ain't a bad idea. Exactly, it's not. But we're just calling for, a defunding. If you look at the budgets for the majority of the states in this country, the police departments eat up a shit ton of state budgets. And for the budgets that they have, the type of excuses that they give for the mistakes that they make, it just, you know what I mean? It just isn't. It doesn't.
No,
it don't sit right with you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think it also goes for you have all that money and you wait until officer fuck up to be like, oh, we're gonna put them through diversity training. Shouldn't it been part of the training program when you first, and not even diversity, and I hate that word diversity training. No, you need to be training on complicit biases and all of that bullshit and knowing, hey, this might not be the job for you if you this and this and this. So I'm like, it goes back to the post that I said, y'all know exactly what defund mean when we talk about Planned Parenthood. Then you know what defund means. But when it comes down to the police, it's like, well, we need the police. No one is saying, hey, we don't need the police. But I'm like, it goes, even if you look at like the United States spending, I'm like, most of our budget is spent on defense, on the military. And it's like, why?
Right. When there are other programs that benefit from that money.
And I'm like, even if you're when you're looking at big cities like LA, Chicago, New York, and you see they have big ass budgets that you shouldn't have an issue, like some of the issues that you have, and you shouldn't have them. But y'all work in a mob mentality.
Correct. I've always said the police is the biggest gang in the world because they definitely if you think about it, they definitely operate on gang rules. They will, like you said, do whatever the fuck they want to do, and then the gang will protect them.
Just to see how mad the union was for the NYPD. It's like, what are you mad for? People are not saying, oh, take all the money, but y'all, you don't need that much damn money. Because I'm pretty sure it's probably recordings of y'all on the side of the road, sleep and doing some bullshit that you ain't got to be doing. So that means you need to be at home.
Agreed.
And for what we spend, I don't know. I just like, for what we spend, crime shouldn't be out of control like this. And you can't keep just blaming on, oh, you got to teach your children better. I'm like, for a lot of cities, there's literally nothing for children to do.
Truth. That's truth, Bomb. And that's where defund the police comes into, diverting some of that money to programs for the community. Simple concept. Also, just thinking of the year in review as well, we did lose John Lewis, civil rights legend, real life superhero, in my opinion. So that was definitely a big loss for us as a community. All the incredible work that he did do as a part of this movement, especially during one of the most difficult times, being the civil rights era. Obviously we've seen the pictures of him during the March in Selma, the infamous backpack picture. So, just a huge loss for us in the community in general there as well.
Yep, definitely. Trying to think of other
big stories.
Mm.
Musically, I mean, we can talk music. There wasn't really any, in my opinion, I can't really think of any like groundbreaking or ground shaking albums that really kind of changed music, or really, in my opinion, that are going to kind of withstand time.
Yeah.
I will say, in all honesty, I feel like 2020 was one of the worst years for music, because I just don't think that there was anything that stood out, or that will, like, a couple of years down the line, that we're going to remember, like, oh yeah, that was it.
I definitely agree. Yeah, I can't think of anything music. Yeah, nothing. Even before the pandemic, nothing. And I do have to just cross my mind. And I hate that we're still talking about death. But definitely think Chadwick Boseman, he passed this year as well. Our Black Panther. That's what I'm going to give him.
Absolutely.
That title. And I think we mentioned it on the podcast when it first happened, that I'm just so happy that we celebrated him celebrated the movie and him the way that we did. He definitely deserved those flowers, even though we didn't know his struggles at the time. But it definitely makes me like happy that he did get those flowers while he was still living.
Absolutely. I think that's definitely one that we got right. I will say, because oftentimes we do, unfortunately, when it comes to our own, we do give them their flowers too late, right? We wait until they are gone to really celebrate them the way that they deserve. So it's definitely, like you said, it was definitely one of the greatest things that I have seen is the celebration, the way that we kind of showed up and showed out for Black Panther. And like you said, to have lost him the way that we did, and then learning of the battle that he went through but yet never complained, just continued to put in the work and do his work, to hone his craft. Just absolutely incredible individual. Like you said, our forever Black Panther. Definitely a huge loss for us, I will say too. That one definitely hurt. I'm trying to think. I'm with you, like, again, because of this, because of like COVID and how much it dominated 2020, it really isn't like a huge amount of things to really discuss or talk about. Like, there weren't any really big things that dominated the headlines outside of COVID. Oh, the little college tuition scandal.
Oh, yeah.
That was definitely a big topic. If anything, for me though, all it did was kind of remind me of, the white privilege that white America so oftentimes tries to deny that they have and own, but it just amplified that for me.
Definitely. And even the time, because, and I know I saw like recently that Lori Laughlin, I think that's her name. She was released from prison after serving almost 2 months. And I've seen some people like, well, she didn't really commit a crime. Oh, yeah, she did. And I'm like, especially when you have a Black mother that literally just changed the zip code, or her address rather, to get her kids in a better free public school. that she already pays taxes for. You know, I was like, and you see her get what at like 5 years, and you see somebody actually taking a bribe. I still, for the life of me, don't understand that. Like, you paid $500,000 when you could have just paid tuition. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those mind bogglers, because I'm with you. Like, they're rich. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing
Yeah.
that really, really, every time I think about like the college admission scandal, I think to myself, y'all rich folk, y'all could have just paid for your kid to go to school. Buy a wing for somebody, if that, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't
Like, I didn't get that. I was like, and then I'm like, I don't know. And then I was thinking, I was like, well, maybe, I know one of them was like a rowing team scholarship or something like this. So I'm like, well, maybe it's to get some of that money back. And that was the reason why it was a huge deal. Cause I'm like, I don't get why you just didn't pay. Like, if I'm worth millions, probably hundreds of millions of dollars, listen, where we going? Like, and I'm like, we know celebrities pay their way. I was like, from a documentary that I watched, one guy was saying his father, I think he was like a hedge fund manager or something like that, but he was at Brown University and flunked out twice and still got his degree somehow, of course, because they had money and they just kept readmitting him. And then
correct.
he finally ended up earning his degree, which I don't think he earned. And how he laughed about it, he know he didn't earn it either.
Right.
So I'm like, for the life of me, I don't know, I didn't get
You and me both. I will say it was one of the stupider
it.
scandals that I ever seen. Like, if you gonna do a bid, man, do it for something that's not dumb as fuck. Like, do it for something
Right.
that you honestly, like I said, she could have just paid her way. Like, just pay, and it was what, USC? Was it USC or
That's
UCLA?
USC.
And I'm like,
USC.
you could have just paid the tuition. Like, USC is, I mean, listen, never mind. But yeah. The last topic I got is the NBA bubble. I think that in itself, I say it's a big story only in just how successful the NBA bubble was. I think you have to give Commissioner Adam Silver one of, in my opinion, the best commissioners that across any sport. You have to give him credit. The way that he was able to pull that NBA bubble off for the couple of months that they did it, having zero COVID cases. I mean, my hat tips off to them. Obviously, now seeing with the NBA season having started and seeing the difference with them when they were in the bubble, having no cases to, like, I think just last week they had upwards of 30 plus cases of COVID. People testing positive. So it just goes to show, like, the mind, first of all, who came up with the bubble, and then for them to kind of pull it off and execute it as flawlessly as they were able to do. You got to tip your hat off to them for that. They really, really cared about their players and their safety and pulled it off,
Yeah, even at the Hot Wing Gate.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Even after them chicken wings from the strip club.
Right. And it ended obviously with the Los Angeles Lakers earning their 17th NBA title, being crowned champions, which again felt bittersweet because of, obviously, we were still reeling from the loss of Kobe Bryant and Gianna Bryant. Obviously, we definitely don't want to leave his baby out, and just kind of it felt like his spirit was kind of there, and I think a lot of them really kind of felt that to do it, for it to be Los Angeles in Kobe's house, it felt bittersweet.
I know. I was like, I don't know. And just seeing Vanessa Bryant, like her page sometimes, I'm like, oh, I just don't see how she do it.
Yeah, definitely a resilient woman. Resilient. But I also want to say to see the sisterhood amongst us, you know, with Lala, Sierra, Kelly Rowland, just all of them really being there for Vanessa, being her strength, you know. Obviously, she's got to be going through it, and just seeing the sisterhood amongst us, you know what I mean? We take care of our sisters when we down, you know. Oftentimes, the internet and social media will have you believe that Black women are catty, that all we do is fight amongst each other and drag and tear each other down. But, you know, we do have a sisterhood and we do have a bond, and we definitely do take care of ours, you know.
Definitely.
Is there anything else that you can think of that you kind of want to add?
I was sitting here trying to think when you was talking. I can't think of anything.
I mean, it's definitely been a lackluster year, to say the least. I'm looking forward to 2021.
I really am. And I know people, I saw a post where they was like, don't nobody claim 2021 is your year. We just got to come in, sit down, be quiet.
Fuck yeah.
But I'm hoping, I'm like, please just let it be a better year.
Yeah.
And not just for me personally, I think collectively as a whole entire world, we need a break.
Absolutely. I will say I will be happy to just be seeing people out posting their vacation flicks, seeing people in their family gatherings. You know, that's something that'll make me definitely smile, just to be able to see babies have birthday parties again. That's something that I'm looking forward to. Absolutely.
Just going to the movies, like every time there's a movie theater really close to my house, every time I pass, I'm like, I cannot believe I don't think we went to the movies maybe once in 2020. Maybe. And it probably was in 2019, the end part.
Yeah.
I was like, it's so weird.
That's definitely the last time I went to the movies, I believe. I'm trying to think. The last movie I think I saw at a movie theater was what, Endgame? That was 2019. So, yeah, I'm with you. There those simple things that I think a lot of us take for granted. I'm yearning for. The moment they say movies back open, I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm up in there.
Like my mask, and don't cough over my snacks. That's it.
Correct. The moment they say outside open again, I'm booking a flight somewhere. I'm going somewhere.
I can't wait. I'm like, so what y'all think about late March? Can we get this under wraps?
Can we? Cause we got some trips we need to make up, because we normally, all of us take like birthday trips. We take a girls trip every year, whether it be to Mardi Gras or some Vegas, something. And we didn't get to do none of that, man. Look, we owe one. Shit.
Right. Be like, so our next link up will be epic. Exactly.
I just can't wait. I can't wait. I'm definitely looking forward to that. 2021. And I'm with you. And it's not just on a personal level. It's like on a everybody level. Like, I want to see everybody level up and have good vibes in the new year.
Definitely. So that's
it.
Yeah.
For our year in review. Let's go ahead and jump into the relationship portion of the show. We do have a relationship question this week, and then I think we'll do our relationship question, and then similar to our year in review on hot topics, we'll hit some high points or some high things that we talked about this year, and maybe even go a little life question and talk resolutions for the new year. So, Falan DeAnn, give us our relationship question of the week.
It's a fun one. What is the pettiest thing you've done after a breakup?
So for me, shit, I don't know. I mean, I hate to say it, like, I feel like this is one of my better qualities. I'm not really petty after breakups. Like, I'm one of those folks who, like, once I'm done, I'm done. I clear names, numbers. If I see you in the street and you're like, oh yeah, we used to what? I used to who now? Nah, bruh. So maybe you could consider that petty.
Deleted them already.
Maybe you could consider that petty. That I do not like. If we ever dated in the past, I don't claim it. Like I don't claim it. If it's done, we break up. I don't know you. I'm on my motherfucking Mariah Carey. I don't know you. What about yourself?
I just want to put a disclaimer. I have grown. But like after me and one of my boyfriends broke up, I drove like 20 miles, probably 30, to go throw all of his clothes in front of his baby mama's house in her yard. And the craziest thing about it, now that I think about it, is I was so hyped up. I had a panic attack coming back home.
Lord have mercy. The growth.
Like, I still can't believe I did that. It was the crazy thing about I was in Mississippi doing that.
Lord, oh Lord. Look, out here risking your life, literally, girl.
I mean, I can't, yeah. It was the panic attack for me. I was like, yeah, I can't ever do nothing like that again because I got myself so worked up.
Super hype.
I was sweating and about to fall the fuck out.
Right?
But yeah. That's the pettiest thing for me.
Blessings for growth, right? Okay, so I guess some of the topics that we've talked about throughout this year on the show, we talked about, I think one of my favorite ones was when we talked about the Dead Ass podcast and that topic about forcing monogamy and commitment and all of that. I definitely think that was one of our better topics, and I think one of the topics that got a lot of people talking.
I enjoyed that.
Absolutely. Obviously, we've also talked a lot about love languages, the importance of that within relationships, knowing your love language, knowing your partner's love language. We've talked about commitment a lot, obviously, about, the difference in commitment in 2020 and this generation and previous generations. We've talked a lot about the definition of relationships, how, obviously there seems to be kind of this rise in polyamory and people wanting to do open relationships. I think that's one of the, if I think about one of my bigger takeaways from relationships, I think every other week I've been seeing things about people being in open relationships, a lot of people, wanting to be in a polyamorous situation. That's been one of the more interesting things to me because I just never thought that we would get to a space where people would be so comfortable with that.
Yeah. I don't listen. I know we talked about it. I just can't see how people down with it. I want what's mine and I just want it to be mine and mine only. Yeah. I saw a post. Her name is Passion Jones. She's like a blogger / influencer. And I know a model because I've seen her on the page as well. And she's like in a polyamorous relationship, but it's with 2 men. I mean, I ain't judging, but the men look like they have more fun with each other than her. But they want to look a little saucy, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
Well, listen, salute to the people. I can say salute to, my opinion on those relationships have always been salute to the people who can pull them off. For me, it's not even a matter of like having anything against it. It's just a matter of knowing myself enough to know that I just don't have the emotional fortitude for it because balancing a relationship with one person is a lot, in my opinion. It's a lot of fucking work and it takes a lot of effort and time. But to try to pull it off with 2, shit.
And men are emotional. I know they try to give women this emotional, title and all of it. They are emotional.
Agreed. And needy as fuck.
Listen, like, I can't imagine doing it with you. Like, listen, I'm sick of both of y'all. Goodbye. We'll call in a third person, and y'all two are dismissed because this is just too much for me. I can't do it.
Y'all all got on my goddamn nerves. Leave me alone.
So, yeah, I'm like, I just want to put it out there. Don't be letting these hotels trick y'all into these situations where you don't want to be in because you think it's tribe building and he ain't working. Just don't do that.
Speak on it, girl. Speak on it. That is one of definitely the things that I've also seen come about. And I think we talked about this as well on the show. I know we talked about this as well on the show. Women who allow men to talk them into these relationships with other women. It doesn't benefit anybody. It doesn't. If you truly aren't bisexual, you don't really like other women. You're just doing it to placate a man. You're not benefiting anyone. It's not gonna keep that man. And not only that, the other woman that you're involved in, it's not doing anything for her as well, because she generally is bisexual, and she generally is interested in women, and so she's stuck having to deal with your ass, and that's not enjoyable for her either. So, but nonetheless, I just, like you said, don't get in these situations that your ass don't want to be in, all to just try to keep a man. With that being said, this has definitely been the year of the pick me.
Listen.
Y'all out here running rampant, goddamn.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know how much pick me's are running rampant is that, in all honesty, I'm sick of the fucking word pick me. That's because we didn't had to use it so goddamn much. Shit. I definitely think that in relationships now, or at least from what I've gathered from just thinking through all of our topics in 2020, I feel like the biggest things that have come out of 2020 is definitely people's lack of interest in commitments, whether it be marriage, actual committed relationships. We're seeing a heavy leaning on like situationships, but it almost makes me sad a little bit, to see so many people kind of turning away from commitment and committed relationships.
Yeah. And that's what it's like, I think, and I hate saying as a society, but I do think society, and this is not just, and when I say society, it's not a generational thing. I think it's like, again, that build up what has happened where we see our parents, grandparents, great grandparents, uncles, just have strayed away from relationships, or so jaded. And I even look at celebrities too, that I've seen a lot of them, for example, Cynthia from our Real Housewives, and even Toya, where they I would never be married again. I would never do this. And you have people that really, maybe take what they say to heart. Like, okay, yeah, I can understand why she would never be married again, until they meet, I guess maybe their person. And then they're like, oh, I'm ready to spend my life with somebody else. And I think, we become jaded like that, or some people become jaded, and it's like, oh, I would never, I'm giving up on commitment. And it's like, no, you just should give up on that person that wasn't right for you. It's Absolutely. Not necessarily a commitment that's a bad thing. It's just that person was bad for you or wasn't right for you. And even the thinking of, all this person was, I think we have to get it sometimes in the mindset as well, that just because you are no longer associated with a person or with the person doesn't mean that they're bad for you. They may just not just really be the one. Like, we just got to get some maturity in relationships. It's like, listen, you're not the one for me, and I'm not for you, and move on.
Preach, preach, preach. So if you had to give last relationship advice for the year, what would it be?
Listen, from what I see on the internet, I will say make your own rules. And when I say that, meaning every man is not going to require that you come in and be a chef. and all of these things. If it's not for you, find somebody that works for you. And like I said, I see on social media a lot with people like, oh, you'll never find a man if you don't cook. That's not true. Some men actually prefer to cook. So I would definitely say, just find that person for you. Don't be so dependent on, oh, I have to do this to keep a man, because the man for you, you won't have to go to the moon and back and not even be, I guess, rewarded with a relationship. I don't know if that's the right word, but it would be appreciated. So, you doing all it would be a bonus.
Absolutely. I think that is such good advice. Obviously, making your own rules and stop following other people's playbooks and rule books. Woo! Bitch, that is some advice right there. Okay. Because a lot of y'all out here, woo, these folks gonna have you single forever. Okay. Girl, listen, I literally seen that they was having a debate and calling girls pick-me's because they went on coffee dates or because they went on dates to chain restaurants. I said, what? Y'all complaining about food now? There's a requirement for food. You know what? I'm not gonna deal with y'all asses. But no, if I had to give advice, my last advice for 2020 as far as relationships is just to be open. Be open-minded about relationships. Be open to love. Be open to falling in love. Be open to commitments. Be open. You know what I mean? Just be willing to, be yourself and share all aspects of you to another person, because I feel like that is really and generally the only way and the best way to have a healthy, respectful, loving relationship. And also, never be afraid to choose yourself and to walk away. You know what I mean? If something is hurting you, if it's painful, if it's unhealthy, if you are not being respected, if you are being abused, whether it be physically, emotionally, anything, you know what I mean? If it just don't work for you, do not be scared to choose you and walk the fuck away. That's my advice. All right. So before we jump into new music or, anything like that, give me your resolution for 2020. I mean, well, your New Year's resolution, if you have one.
I have a few. I think my top 3 would definitely be, I want to start my 2 businesses. I definitely want to be way more active with the podcast. So that's one of my biggest ones. Posting more on Instagram and Facebook and getting back to fitness. I guess I kind of missed that part, but yeah, those are my 3 biggest.
Okay. So for me, I'm with you. I want to start my businesses. Like, I have the ideas. I have, you know what I mean? I want to actually get them off the ground. Also, a personal one for me is not being afraid to ask for help. It's one of the things that I've had to work on so much about myself is, I'm definitely a big do-it-yourselfer girl. So I have to kind of put myself out there and not be afraid to ask for help when I need it. And I'm with you on the fitness. Like, I want to, not just fitness wise though, nutrition wise, like I want to this year legitimately reach my goal, like weight, body, all of that. So I really, really am going to try to heavily focus on my nutrition this year as well. And I think that, and my very last one will be to actually put some effort into finding love. Because I don't put no effort in.
Right, we coming for you.
So I'm gonna put in some effort this year. So we shall see what comes of that shit. All right, so let's go ahead and quickly jump into music, TV, books, whatever, anything like recommendations. And this doesn't have to be anything recent. It can be something like if you just saw something really good this year that you want to recommend or something like that.
I guess, well, most recent,
Mhm.
I watched Sylvie's Love. It's on Amazon Prime. It is an Amazon original. It was a nice movie with Tessa Thompson. It's definitely worth a watch. And I think the highlight movie for or what I watched for the year. Oh, I always recommend Love After Lockup and 90 Day Fiance.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord. Oh, okay. Anything else?
No, that's all for me.
All right. So for me, I will say I'm with you. I did actually check out Sylvie's Love. It was it was a cute story. I'm with you. It's definitely in the sense of more of like a traditional romance story, which typically isn't my cup of tea. I'm more of a rom-com girl myself, but it was definitely good. It was cute. Like I said, it was a cute story, enjoyable, definitely worth the watch if you want to sit down and watch something. I am going to actually sit down and check out Soul either tonight or tomorrow night. So, but I've heard nothing but good things about it. So if you're out there and haven't checked it out, I would suggest checking that out. And that's for the year. Some of my highlights, I will say, I think a show that was highly slept on, that I think was so cute. It's family oriented. If families want to sit down and watch it together. But even as an adult, I just enjoyed it. But I enjoyed Love, Simon, the movie. So a show that I think was slept on. It came on Hulu. It was a Hulu original. It's called Love, Victor. I just think it was a really, really good show. To see a coming out story, a genuine coming out story with a person of color, Hispanic person at that, knowing that in the Hispanic community, the heavy emphasis on religion that they deal with, and just kind of seeing that story kind of develop and flow. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a really, really good watch. And that kind of moves me into my nerd moment of the week. Some of the better shows for me this year, obviously, highlights for me fall under my nerd moments. I think a really, really, really good show this year that came out was Lock and Key on Netflix. Such a good show. Again, and I really didn't think I was going to enjoy it because it centers around kids, teenagers and kids and things like that. But it was not that by any sense of the word. It didn't focus on like a lot of teenage drama and shit like that. Like it really was like a good interpretation from the comic or the book, comic book, whatever. Really, really good, really, really good show. I would highly recommend it. Good from top to bottom. You don't figure out literally most of the time with shows you can figure out what's going to happen. Like you don't figure out the twist at the end until you get to the end, which is always a good thing. I definitely will say I discovered The Boys this year, and I really enjoyed it. I watched both season 1 and season 2. I'm looking forward to season 3, and The Boys comes on Amazon Prime. That's an Amazon original. So just a really, really, really good show. And I will also say that obviously you guys know how I feel about the Umbrella Academy. I enjoy it. It comes on Netflix as well. It's a really, really good watch. Again, another really, really good interpretation from the comic book. Super, super good. So yeah. Also in my nerd moment, I want to mention some of the other highlights from this year amongst the nerd community. Batwoman. We got the first ever TV adaptation, Black Batwoman. Such a good feat. Obviously, we know Ruby Rose exited the role earlier this year, but the way that it's looking, season 2 is going to be incredible. And I didn't watch the first season of Batwoman, but I'm definitely going to jump into season 2 if only just to support a Black lead. Salute to the young lady who got chose to be Batwoman. We also saw Arrow end. We saw the Crisis of Infinite Earths play out on the CW, where we got one of the cooler moments where we saw Grant Gustin's Flash meet, and now his name is blanking, but y'all know the kid who plays the Flash for the DC universe. So we got to see them meet Ezra Miller. So he plays the one in the movie. So yeah, we got to see them meet in the Crisis. So one of the cooler moments we saw after 17, 18 gajillion years, the end of Supernatural, finally, I think 17 or 18 seasons. So yeah, just a lot of really, really big things that came from the nerd community. One of the things that we missed out on obviously was Comic-Con, but DC kind of made up of that a little bit by having their own like DC fandom via, that took place on the internet. So, but nonetheless, it was definitely a good year for us nerds out there. And yeah, that is my nerd moment of the week. Anything else on your end, Falan DeAnn?
Nothing else for me.
All right. So per usual, I want to thank you guys so much for listening, tuning in. I want to thank you guys for supporting our show. 2020 has been a crazy, crazy year. 2021, we're hoping, as Falan DeAnn mentioned earlier, putting in more work with the podcast. We're hoping to kind of grow the show, be way more active on our social media account, give y'all some video, hopefully, get the merch out, just really, really do bigger and better things. So thank you to everyone who supports us and who supports our show, who listens. Thank you to our moms, because I know our moms listen. And to all of our family and friends who listen to our show and support us. And just to all of you guys out there, thank you guys so much. And, we'll see you guys in 2021. Bye, guys.
Good night.